This is Alabama Politics with Steve Flowers, an in-depth interview with Alabama's top political newsmakers. Now, from the studios of Troy University, here is Steve Flowers.
I'm Steve Flowers, and welcome to Alabama Politics. Folks, we're very fortunate tonight to have as our guest one of the outstanding businessmen and civic leaders in the state of Alabama, Jeff Coleman, who is a successful businessman from the Wiregrass, Dothan, who is the leading candidate for Congress in the 2nd District. As you viewers know, most of our viewership is here in the River region and the Wiregrass of Alabama. And Jeff is a native of the Wiregrass, born and raised there, and has a successful business there. But as you know, Martha Roby, who has been the congressman for 4, 5, 6 years in that district, chose not to run for re-election in the 2nd District. I remember when Bill Dickinson was a congressman there, and then Terry Everett was, and we've had some distinguished congressmen from that district, and Jeff Coleman has the makings of being another one like that. Jeff, good to have you on the show.
Steve, it's my great pleasure and a great honor to be with you.
Jeff Coleman is, like I say, an outstanding Christian businessman and well respected in the Dothan area and all throughout the state for that matter. He's been involved. Now, Jeff, you got, tell us about your wife and children. Is she from the Wiregrass?
She's not. She's from Nashville, Tennessee.
Did y'all meet at the University of Alabama?
We did meet at the University of Alabama, and probably the greatest thing I've ever happened to me in my life. I promise you that. So
you and I both were Sigma Nu.
Yes, sir, and I way out-kicked my coverage.
Was
I promise you that.
In a sorority there?
She was a Kappa Gamma at the University of Alabama.
And she was from Nashville.
She's from Nashville, and we met there while in school and dated throughout our time there, and just fell in love, and we've been married 30 years now.
So y'all married when y'all got out of college?
In September, yes, sir. And what I say, 30 years of marriage, Steve, and a lot of people ask me, they say, what's the secret of 30 years of marriage? And I tell them, I say, couples that pray together, stay together.
Y'all got 2 daughters?
We have 3 daughters.
3 daughters, no sons, just 3 daughters?
No, just 3 daughters. So I do have a son-in-law as of 3 weeks ago. So we're blessed to have gotten my son-in-law. My middle daughter got married. So while I've been on this new journey I'm on, running for United States Congress, my daughter had been engaged 6 months ago, and we're very, very happy to have a son now in the family.
Where are they going to live?
They live in Birmingham. So my middle daughter's 23. She's a nurse at Children's Hospital, and her husband's getting his master's at Sanford. So really enjoying Birmingham.
Is she in Dothan?
My oldest daughter was at Auburn, and then graduated master's degree at Sanford, speech language pathology. And she lives in Nashville right now, so she works in the Nashville public school system, and all doing well, gainfully employed, and which is the plan. And then my youngest, so it's 25, 23, and then my youngest is 20, and she's a junior at Auburn in business and finance.
Jeff, looking at your feet, I forget how until I met you, see how big you are. You about 6'3" or 6'4",
I'm almost 6'4", 6'3" and a half, yeah. And
you got a size 13.
I do, yes, sir.
We're the same size as you. Do you know I met Big Jim Folsom when I was a young man, and I'm 6'5", probably shrunk to 6'4" now. But Big Jim, he looked at me and he said, "Flowers, how tall are you?" I said, "I'm 6'5". He was about 6'8".
Wow.
For that generation, that was big. He said, "What size shoe do you wear, Flowers?" I wear a size 13. He says, "There ain't nothing, Flowers. I wear 17 and a half."
Wow.
Shoes. Can you imagine someone that era wearing a 17?
That would have been a very hard shoe to fulfill. I
Do
promise
you know the only one?
Those were specially made. I
everything he had was made. You know, the only person much bigger than you that I've had here on the guest, Luther Strange.
How about that? Yep.
Luther was he's tall, isn't he?
He was. I think the statistic was he was the tallest United States senator ever, 6'9". So Big Luther.
While he was in the Senate, he made that. He made that in.
I think he did set that record, Steve.
I'll be doggone. Isn't that something? Jeff, tell me that one thing. If there's ever a district that's cut out for 2 committees, it's the 2nd District, Armed Services and Agriculture.
Absolutely. That's the heart and soul of the district. Something that's been near and dear to my heart, being from the Dothan area and growing up there. I've just watched that through the years, from Dickinson to Terry Everett to Bobby Bright to Martha Roby and now hopefully to me. And I think you won't find anybody that's going to be stronger for the agribusiness and for our farmers or for the United States military than Jeff Coleman. I've lived it, I've breathed it, and it's just been integral to my life. Being in the moving business, I've moved the military all over the world, and certainly in my experience in the helping Fort Rucker. Now, I mean, it's Fort Rucker and Maxwell Air Force Base. So what you hear come out of my mouth will be Army strong, above the best, and aim high, fly, fight, and win. So we'll do everything we can for Maxwell Air Force Base, but you are absolutely right, Steve. We are blessed beyond measure to have two very, very strong active duty military installations in this district. And then what we see in agriculture. As you know, with agriculture being our #1 industry, #1 employer, we're blessed in southeast Alabama with some great farmers and great producers of food and fiber for what we do to feed the world. And I'm excited to be, as I told you, one of my best friends is a peanut and cotton farmer.
Who is that?
That's Clay Mixon down in Houston County and Jackson County, Florida. And they've been a long time. I think he's a 3rd-generation farmer.
He lives in Houston County?
He does. He lives in the Dothan area, and just had a lot of dear friends that have been heavily involved in the agribusiness. And obviously Lester Killebrew there with Sun South John Deere, and just got some dear friends throughout the whole region.
Jeff, what about talking about your Mexican friend? Is he your age? He's been farming all that time.
He's probably 2 or 3 years younger than me, and but yeah, he's the 3rd generation. His son is now farming with him, and had some good-looking corn this year, and heavily involved, big peanut and cotton farmer.
So that's what peanuts and cotton and corn.
That's true. That's the row crops, and then of course the Henry County's big with peanuts as well, and grew up with the Armstrong brothers, and went to high school with them, and they're still very involved in the agriculture industry in Henry County and Headland.
Do you know that probate judge over there is very popular, David Money?
Absolutely, good friend of mine.
I love Abbeville and Henry County. I saw Jimmy Rainbow. He had fixed to have knee surgery.
He is, yeah. And I'll tell you, one of the greatest Americans I've ever met. Jimmy
He
Rain
looks young, doesn't he? His face, he got a young-looking face.
It's all duty, honor, and country. And I tell you what he's done with Abbeville Fiber there in Henry County, and then Great Southern Wood and Yellowwood. Just an incredible Alabamian. Proud to have him in Abbeville and Henry County, and just a great American. One of my good friends.
He and David Money are good friends, I think.
Absolutely.
You know, I went down there one time. I had to go by and visit the Abbeville Herald, which is one of my first papers, and Eddie O'Dodd that runs that paper, and Elise, his sister, we take me around Abbeville, and went by and saw Rain, and David Money came by to see me. People, I could tell just by watching him move around that people really revered him.
They do, indeed. And just what he's done in downtown Abbeville to restore some of the older buildings there. And
David's done that, or Rain?
Well, both of them together. I mean, I believe Judge Money's been instrumental in what he's done there, and just champions of the economy and the industry there to keep Abbeville strong in Henry County, as well as Headland. The whole county very strong, so thankful for them.
Have you been in Barber County campaigning already?
I have, yeah. I was up in Eufaula last week, and met some dear friends. I love the forestry and timber industry up there, and then what we can do with the river there, with the locks, and I think we've just got some ability to really bring some growth and prosperity to Barber County.
What about Covington? You been
Covington, been over there. Obviously, traveled through there. Mayor Earl's a good friend of mine with Ann Delusion. Troy University Board of Trustees, and I am a Trojan warrior all the way through and through. Got my master's at Troy University, did it at night, and can't thank Troy University and what it means to Southeast Alabama.
It sure does.
It's very important.
Very economic engine, right in the heart of it.
Proud of what they do athletically on the court and the play of field, and just very proud of what Dr. Hawkins has done in 30 years as our chancellor, and just can't. I do everything I can to help them in any way. We've just opened. Very proud of this, the Coleman Center for Early Learning and Family Enrichment. So you'll know that I'm very big in education, because I think it helps. It's one of the solutions to helping children get a smart start and a strong start, as Governor Ivey's doing with her initiative there. And we're just happy to be a part of it in the Dothan area with the Coleman Center for Early Learning.
That was a great thing. You know, when you did that, I realized, you know, that really is going to help a lot of young ladies who have little children be able to go to school.
It is. It's amazing, Steve. And when I got involved in the movement, probably in 2010, when I was chairman of the Dothan Area Chamber of Commerce, I got recruited into the movement. It's what I call it, and I've just been very helpful ever since. And it was nice to partner with Dr. Hawkins on the center there. to do something for my community, and we now have 100 3- and 4-year-olds, 2-, 3- and 4-year-olds that are getting a smart start and a strong start.
Yeah.
85 to 90% of a child's brain hardwiring occurs by the time they're 5 years old. But yet our investment is so small with those young children. And I think that's one of the keys to changing the paradigm in public education and education in this country. So I'm excited to be a part of the movement. We're going to do some state-of-the-art research where we're linking what I think Troy does very well, and that's prepare teachers, high-quality teachers for the classroom. And I'm proud of what Troy's done for their many, over 100 years. And we're going to continue to build that up and uphold it.
Troy has a real strong relationship with the military, too.
They do. As a matter of fact, when I got my master's in the early 90s, I had several of my courses out at Fort Rucker. They had a cooperation and partnership with the United States Army, and they've got an incredible program as they provide higher education in the United States military. And that's something that I know Troy University's done a phenomenal job in doing, and they're going to continue to put forth those efforts with the United States military.
Tell me about, of course, this is the other metropolitan area of the district besides Dothan is Montgomery, of course. But really Montgomery is like the river region because so many people live in Autauga and Elmore now. They're two of the fastest growing counties in the state. There are a lot of military people live up there in Elmore and Autauga now, you think?
Well, you're seeing it all over the area. I mean, obviously we've seen growth in Prattville with Tumpka and Millbrook and the whole area up in Autauga and Elmore, but also Montgomery as well. But you won't find the largest economic impact to the river regions, Maxwell Air Force Base, and then the Gunner Annex. And I'm excited to see what we're doing with Air University, and then with the F-35 and the C-130s and just all the investment the United States Air Force is making in the river region. We want to do everything we can to keep that strong and growing, and I think we have an opportunity to do that. When you see what's going to happen over the next decade with space and the airspace above 3,500 feet, I think the Air Force is doing a phenomenal job, not only in the cyber warfare, but also what their mission will be. And I think it's very, very important to the Department of Defense and the United States Air Force. And I think Maxwell's a key component of that. We're going to continue to keep it strong. And we love all the United States Air Force members living all over the river region. Very important.
That's interesting you mentioned that, and I have to concur with what you're saying totally, because one day I had Todd Strange on the show. We're sitting right where you are, the mayor of Montgomery and former mayor, and it was during a downturn in the economy 4 or 5 years ago, and I said, Todd, I know you're, and the state government was feeling the effects of it. And I said, I know your city's economy is hurting because your major employer, the state government, is cutting back some.
Right.
He said, well, it's not good for us, but that's not our biggest employer, Steve.
Right.
And I said, oh, I'm sorry, is Hyundai y'all's biggest employer? He says, no, it's Maxwell Gunner.
Yep.
That's the biggest employer in Montgomery and the river region. That's amazing.
Has a huge impact.
And let me tell you something about that too, is that what you just said too. If you know Montgomery and the river region, there are an inordinate number of retired military people who are the backbone of this community, who are the leaders in their church, who have good retirement incomes. They like the climate of South Alabama, and it's like,
It's a great point, Steve. I mean, when you look at, I think one of the gems in our crown in this district would be our retired military personnel.
It is.
And you think about it, they come here, they love Alabama, they love this district, the quality of life we have. We're very, very close to the world's most beautiful beaches that we have down there in the Panhandle of Florida. But so they're far enough away where they can come up here and have an incredible quality of life, and they're retiring here. And that's something we need to do a better job of embracing those retirees to come and live in the 2nd District. Not only the Army personnel down in the Wiregrass region, but what we have in the Air Force personnel here in the river region.
It is. I mean, there are an inordinate number of well-heeled, sophisticated military retirees that are officers that are retired here, non-officers There's a lot of people, but I tell you another.
They love our country and they love our state.
They do.
And they're patriots. And
you see the flags out
yeah.
in every holiday. But you probably have a lot from Rucker. No, it doesn't have the same in Dothan that it would in Montgomery because of Maxwell Gunner. What does it?
Fort Rucker's very, very unique in that we've got 4 major cities that are basically contiguous to it, and that's Dothan, Enterprise, Delville, and Ozark. And we surround the Fort Rucker, and so they retire all over those 4 communities.
Yeah.
And very, very thankful to have them. I think there's over 8,000 retirees, Army retirees, in the Wiregrass region. So we love them too, and they're just incredible assets in our community.
I've told Dothan people this for years, that to me, if I were a snowbird and I had always thought I was going to retire in the Panhandle of Florida, I would stop about 50 miles shorter and retire in Dothan, Alabama, because you've got the same climate. If you look at the Panama City weather forecast in Dothan, it's one and the same geographical area.
Right.
The property taxes are probably about a third or 10%.
That's right.
But you also have twice as good a medical care with those 2 famous hospitals in
That's
Dothan.
Right.
Matter of fact, to drive to Panama City would be a downgrade to Dothan hospitals. Dothan has some of the best medical care in the state, and I think you're aware of that. And it now has grown to where those 2 hospitals and the medical community in Dothan is the biggest employer.
That's true. And our largest employer in Dothan is Southeast Medical Center now.
It's the biggest employer in
Dothan. And it is. 2,500 employees. Very, very important. And then the other one is Flowers, the private hospital as well. So we're blessed not only in the Dothan area but also here in Montgomery with incredible health care. And I think you're spot on when you think about it. As a good, strong, conservative businessman, lower taxes, more efficient government, I love that we have a low tax base in Southeast Alabama, and we love to have these retirees living in our communities.
If I retire, that's
great quality of life.
I'd have
good health care, excellent health care.
That's why I say, look, I'm going to stay right here because I can go to the beach in 45 minutes.
Exactly.
You're not 45 minutes an hour to the beach,
true.
are you? If I want to see the beach, I can walk. Most people in Atlanta commute that far.
That's true.
To work.
It's an easy drive, and
and
it's a nice way to come into a lower tax base and a greater quality of life. And we need to continue to promote and market that, and I think that's an opportunity for us in this district.
Back to the agriculture thing in Houston County and Henry and Dale and Geneva. All of us grew up knowing about the wiregrass and peanut farming. But has it become more diversified now?
It has, and that's a great question, Steve. When we've seen it, we've seen an expansion in poultry, and I think that's as a result.
Even in Houston?
Even in Houston County, and really the whole Wiregrass region. What we're seeing now with just the growth in Chick-fil-A and Zaxby's and all the chicken that we love to eat and having a healthy diet, we've seen that really, really growing in Alabama, and we're blessed to have had some very, very large processors, producers in the region. Very, very important.
I've had the agriculture commissioners on. I've asked that question about different parts of the state, and they unquestionably poultry is our biggest agriculture industry. I don't know if it had gotten to the wiregrass like it has the rest of the state, but
it has indeed. We just recently finished a project, as I was on the Industrial Development Board in Dothan for over 20 years and been involved in a lot of projects, but one we were very proud of was the growth and prosperity of Wayne Farms there in Dothan, a large poultry processor. And
it's all over the wiregrass.
All over the area. And then they have a large feed mill, state-of-the-art feed mill there in Pinkard.
Yeah.
So right there in South Dale County. And we were proud to put that project in, and they're providing all the feed out to all the poultry growers in the region. So very, very important when we tie Tyson and all the other processors and producers in our area.
Jeff, one thing I was sort of pleased, I just got the visit with Joe Bonner over in the governor's office. They are very appreciative of all of our wiregrass legislators voting for the Rebuild Alabama program, which will enhance the ability to get roads. Every wiregrass legislator voted for that package, so I think that's going to help the wiregrass a good bit too. But roads are important.
Roads are very important, and that Rebuild Alabama initiative was 4 years in the making, and I, certainly when we look at Governor Ivey and having the political courage and the fortitude to stand up and look at the challenge. Obviously, as a good, strong conservative Republican, I'm not a tax and spend, so I abhor, I just can't stand more taxes. But when you looked at that piece of legislation, it'd been 27 years since we had done anything on infrastructure in Alabama, and you got to realize those matching dollars which come down from the federal government are very important, and we match what hopefully President Trump will be bringing down an infrastructure bill. But it's very important that we continue to take care of our roads and bridges, first and foremost, Steve, for safety. When we think about some of the rural counties in Alabama and these school buses that are traveling all those roadways, it's very important that we keep a safe and secure road. And I think that Rebuild Alabama was one way to keep our families safe and hopefully at some point lower road congestion. Number one issue for a trucker, and you know I'm a trucker, is road congestion.
That's right.
It costs us a lot of money, and I got drivers out there on these parking lots throughout the state, and I think we can do better. And I think we did. I would tell you there's never been a perfect bill, but I think it was one way that Alabama can move forward in a way that will help our citizens.
Your company.
It's hard though. Don't get me wrong. I don't like taxes.
Your company is a worldwide company.
Correct.
You do business all over the country.
That's right. We're headquartered in southeast Alabama, right there in the Dothan area, and we operate 70 service centers in 20 states.
Is that right?
So we're proud.
You may be one of the biggest, if not the biggest, trucking firm in the state. Then.
No, the biggest would be my neighbor there in Dothan, which would be AAA Cooper Transportation, the Dove family, and good friends, but in the LTL category. But in the household goods, we're definitely the largest. We're one of the top 30 privately held companies in the state. Very proud of that. You think about my family. 105 years we've been in business.
In that same business?
Absolutely.
Who started? Your granddaddy? Or
my great-great-grandfather started the business.
Was the office right there on 231?
Well, no, it started in the Midwest, but then we bought out a company called Lofton's Transfer in the early 70s. We saw the growth in the South. Best decision we ever made.
Lofton's was the name of it?
Lofton's Transfer and Storage. Great family in the Dothan area.
Yeah,
and good friends. We've got many of them that. Big Jim Lofton, remember him?
Yeah.
Great man. And
I remember Jim on Marion.
Incredible. Played for Bear Bryant. And just a great man.
Did Jim grow
Lost
up
him
in
too early. He did. That was a big Dothan family, and that was the company we acquired in the early 70s.
Was Marion from Dothan too?
Marion, I believe, was from Birmingham.
Okay.
But they met at Alabama, and just a wonderful family.
So y'all bought them out.
We did, and that's how we ended up getting to Dothan, Alabama. And I tell them it's a funny story. So
your great-great-granddaddy started. So your granddaddy was the one who bought Lofton out.
My father was.
My
father was. So, I was born in the Midwest, so right near Wichita, Kansas, Hutchinson, Kansas, and this will be a nice little thing to remember me by. That was Morton Salt headquarters. So that was where all the salt mines were in central Kansas. And then I moved to the peanut capital of the world in the early 70s, graduated high school there. So you can call me the Salty Peanut.
So your daddy was the one who came and bought out Lofton and moved everything to Dothan.
Right. At that particular time in the trucking industry, after the deregulation in 1980 under the Carter administration, you then operating authorities, we were in a co-op called Atlas Van Lines, and they were the Atlas Van Lines agent in Georgia, Florida, and Alabama, and we were the Atlas Van Lines agent in Kansas, Nebraska, and Oklahoma. And Colorado.
I really didn't know that.
So we linked all that together, and the best decision we ever made was coming south. We love it here.
And your daddy bought y'all original office out there on 231.
We were actually in downtown Dothan, right there, and then we moved out in the mid '80s. Bought some land out there, and just wanted to have our own land to operate from.
Did you know that you were going to go in that business then as soon as you got out of school?
Pretty much. I love trucking. I started working when I was 10 years old, and the only thing I could lift, you'll see it, was a lampshade. So I was a young man. My father started me early, just before we had all these labor laws, and I loved being on the back of a moving van going on to Fort Rucker.
Have you got any brothers and sisters in the business?
I do. I have a younger brother, 2 years younger than me, and he was SGA president of Alabama,
lawyer. What was his name?
John Coleman.
So he's not involved in the business.
He is. He's our executive vice president and general counsel, and then he is also an Episcopal priest. So
that's the one I was going to ask you about. There's an Episcopal priest who was here in Montgomery at.
He was
at the church over.
He was at Church of the Ascension for 6 years, and loved being in Montgomery and the River region, and had moved home about 5 years ago.
So it's two of y'all, just
two
Jeff
sons, and then I have 3 sisters.
But the sisters aren't in the business though.
No, I have one sister. Her husband's our present CEO now, my brother-in-law. So. It's a family operation. We have 2,500 teammates.
As a congressman, will you have to divest yourself of your? You can't run your business and do that.
No, you can't. Yeah, I believe you have to abide by all the ethics laws, and I'll certainly be doing that.
They preclude you from have a business on the side.
That does indeed. So, so my family will carry on that tradition.
You can still own an interest, but you just
correct.
Can't,
just can't operate it. So.
But your brother John was he's in, and you got a brother-in-law that's in there with you.
Absolutely. So it's a family
they
owned
run
and operated business.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm blessed with the ability to them come in and the last 90 days, I'll tell you, it's just been an incredible journey for me. Tell you the thing I've loved most about it, Steve, is just all the great people I've met. Never thought I'd get out around.
You never thought you'd run for Congress, did you?
I didn't, and I'll tell you at this point, I've already won because I've met so many dear people along the way that are going to be friends for life.
Growing up in Dothan, you thought you'd be a successful businessman and run your daddy's.
I did.
Thing. You didn't.
Yeah.
Never thought about running. When you decide to run for Congress?
Never had it on the radar. As a result of my good friend Congressman Martha Roby announcing her retirement on July 26th, God opened that door. We discerned it. My family prayed about it, and just felt like at this particular stage in life, 53, empty nested. With a deep desire to serve my country and to help our area grow and prosper. I felt like I'd take, what I've learned in 35 plus years of business and take it to Washington and push back against the socialist agenda and continue to put forth a strong free enterprise, strong national defense agenda. And I want to help President Trump.
Well, we're fortunate to have conservative, businessmen take time out of their life to serve in Congress, and we thank you for running. And our time's up, so we thank you for being with us as our guest.
Steve, it's been my pleasure and a great delight to be with you, and thank you for what you do for this state and our country.
Thank you. Folks, our guest tonight has been Jeff Coleman, a leading candidate for Congress in the 2nd District to replace Martha Roby in the 2nd District of Alabama. Businessman from Dothan, Jeff Coleman. And the primary is right around the corner, y'all, March 3rd. So we thank Jeff for being our guest, and we thank you viewers for watching. Hope you tune in again next week for Alabama Politics. Thank you.